Some airplanes look impressive from the ground. Others look legendary in photos. But pilots don't judge aircraft by appearance. They judge them by how they fly, how they handle when things go wrong, whether they bring you home or kill you for a single mistake. These aircraft frustrated, exhausted, or outright terrified the people tasked with flying them. If you enjoy this kind of aviation history, I've linked a few detailed aircraft replicas and reference items in the description. These are the most hated planes to fly according to the pilots who survived them. Brewster F2A Buffalo, 1939. On paper, the Brewster Buffalo didn't look terrible. In the air, it was a death sentence. When the F-2A entered service in 1939, it became the US Navy's first monoplane fighter. Early versions were actually competitive, light, maneuverable, and faster than biplanes they replaced. Finnish pilots scored 32 kills for every Buffalo lost against Soviet aircraft. Then the military kept adding weight, armor plating, self-sealing fuel tanks, additional guns, more ammunition. Each modification made sense individually. Together they transformed a nimble fighter into a sluggish, underpowered coffin. By December 1941, the Buffalo was hopelessly obsolete. At the Battle of Midway in June 1942, Marine pilots flew Buffaloes against Japanese Zeros. Of 20 Buffaloes that engaged, 13 were shot down. Pilots who survived described the aircraft as a flying coffin that couldn't climb, couldn't turn, and couldn't escape. Captain Philip White's after-action report was brutal. Any commander who orders pilots to fly the F-2A3 against enemy fighters should consider the pilot already lost. Brewster built 509 Buffaloes. Most Allied pilots remembered it as an aircraft that punished mistakes and offered zero forgiveness. The company never recovered from the Buffalo's reputation and went bankrupt in 1944. Messerschmitt Me Komet, 1944, the fastest aircraft of World War II, also the most likely to kill its own pilot. In 1944, Germany deployed history's first operational rocket-powered fighter. The Me-163 Komet could reach 700 miles per hour and climb to 40,000 feet in under 3 minutes. No Allied aircraft came close. The fuel made it a flying bomb. The Komet used T-STOF and C-STOF propellants. T-STOF was concentrated hydrogen peroxide. C-STOF was a mixture of hydrazine and methanol. Separately, both were dangerous. Together, they were catastrophically volatile. If the chemicals mixed improperly, the aircraft exploded. Fuel leaks dissolved human flesh on contact. Pilots wore special protective suits, but leaks still caused horrific chemical burns. Ground crews died loading the aircraft. Takeoff used a wheeled dolly that dropped away after liftoff. Landing happened on a retractable skid at over 130 miles per hour, with no second chance. If the aircraft bounced, residual fuel could slosh and detonate. Pilots called it landing on a prayer. Combat time lasted approximately 8 minutes before fuel exhaustion. Pilots had one pass at enemy bombers, then glided home defenseless. Messerschmitt built around 370 Komets. 16 Allied aircraft were confirmed destroyed. More than 80 Komets were lost to accidents, explosions and landing mishaps. Pilots feared takeoff, landing, and sometimes just sitting in the cockpit waiting for something to leak. Speed didn't make it safe. Speed made the death faster. Lockheed F-104 Starfighter 1958. They called it the Widowmaker. The name was earned. Designed by legendary engineer Kelly Johnson, the F-104 was built for one purpose: go fast. It became the first operational fighter capable of sustained Mach 2 flight. Tiny trapezoidal wings just 7.5 feet long. A fuselage shaped like a missile. Wing leading edges so sharp that ground crews installed protective covers to prevent injuries. In American hands, the F-104 was demanding but manageable. The US Air Force lost 49 starfighters out of 296 operated, acceptable for a high-performance aircraft. Then Germany bought it. The Luftwaffe acquired 916 F-104Gs for a role the aircraft was never designed for: low-altitude strike in European weather. The Starfighter was built to intercept bombers at high altitude in clear California skies. Germany flew it through clouds, rain and fog at treetop level. The results were catastrophic. Germany lost 292 starfighters, 30% of the entire fleet. 116 pilots died. Some squadrons lost aircraft faster than replacement pilots could be trained. Widows formed support groups. The crashes became a national scandal. Canadian forces lost 110 of 235 aircraft, a 46% loss rate. Pilots called it the aluminum death tube. Lockheed built 2,578 F-104s across all variants. The aircraft served with 15 nations. Pilots respected the performance but feared the consequences. One mistake at Mach 2 left no time for recovery. Tupolev TU-144, 1968. The Soviet answer to Concorde looked similar from the outside. From the cockpit, it was a completely different nightmare. The Tu-144 flew 2 months before Concorde in December 1968, making it the first supersonic transport. Soviet engineers had achieved a propaganda victory. They had not achieved a safe aircraft. Pilots complained of unstable handling that required constant correction, poor cockpit visibility during landing approach, unreliable systems that failed without warning, an airframe that vibrated so violently at certain speeds that instruments became unreadable. The environmental systems barely worked. Cabin noise levels exceeded 90 decibels, louder than a subway train. Passengers couldn't hold conversations. The aircraft was so loud that Soviet engineers added a telephone system so pilots could communicate with passengers. June 3rd, 1973. The Paris Air Show. A Tu-144 broke apart during a demonstration flight and crashed into the village of Goussainville. All 6 crew members and 8 people on the ground died. The exact cause remains disputed, but the aircraft's demanding handling characteristics contributed. Aeroflot operated passenger service for just 55 flights before quietly withdrawing the Tu-144 in 1978. Maintenance costs were astronomical. Reliability was abysmal. Only 16 were ever built. Passengers barely flew it. Pilots didn't miss it. The aircraft became a symbol of Soviet ambition, exceeding Soviet capability. Convair B-58 Hustler, 1960. America's first supersonic bomber looked like the future. Pilots knew better. The B-58 Hustler could exceed Mach 2 while carrying nuclear weapons. Its delta wing and 4 powerful engines made it the fastest bomber ever built. In March 1962, a Hustler flew from Los Angeles to New York in 2 hours and 56 seconds. Nothing in the Soviet arsenal could catch it. Flying it was another matter entirely. The B-58 demanded absolute precision in every phase of flight. Landing speeds approached 200 miles per hour. The delta wing provided no lift at low speeds, meaning pilots had to maintain exact approach angles or stall catastrophically. Fuel management was unforgiving. The aircraft carried fuel in a massive external pod, and any imbalance created dangerous handling characteristics. Training accidents were disturbingly common. Pilots described the Hustler as an aircraft that was always one mistake away from killing everyone aboard. The margin between perfect execution and disaster was measured in seconds. Of 116 Hustlers built, 26 crashed, a 22% loss rate. 1 in 5 aircraft ended as smoking wreckage. No other American bomber came close to that attrition rate. The accidents killed dozens of highly trained crew members. The Air Force retired the entire fleet in 1970 after just 10 years of service. The Hustler never dropped a single bomb in combat. Pilots admired its speed. They didn't miss it when it was gone. Fairchild Republic. A 10 Warthog, 1977. Ground troops worship it. Pilots are divided. The A-10 Thunderbolt II was designed for close air support, flying low and slow over battlefields, absorbing ground fire, and delivering devastating firepower to protect soldiers below. At that mission, nothing else comes close. Living inside the cockpit is another experience entirely. The A-10 cruises at 300 miles per hour. Modern fighters cruise at 600. Missions last 4 to 6 hours at low altitude, which means constant turbulence, physical fatigue, and exposure to enemy fire that faster aircraft simply fly above. The cockpit systems feel primitive compared to modern jets. Pilots describe physically wrestling with the aircraft rather than guiding it. The ejection seat is designed to save pilots who punch out at 200 feet altitude and 150 knots, a scenario that occurs because A-10 pilots fly that low by design. Air Force leadership has tried to retire the A-10 for decades. They'd rather fly sleek, fast, multi-role fighters. Ground troops and some pilots fight to keep it. The aircraft inspires fierce loyalty and genuine hatred, often from people with equal experience. Some pilots adore its rugged reliability. Others hate how vulnerable, exhausting, and primitive it feels compared to everything else in the inventory. Even the most effective aircraft can be hated by the people inside it. McDonnell XF-85, Goblin, 1948. A parasite fighter designed to launch from a bomber's belly. It was clever engineering. It was nearly impossible to fly. The concept made theoretical sense. B-36 bombers could fly 10,000 miles, far beyond escort fighter range. Solution: carry a tiny fighter inside the bomb bay, deploy it when enemy interceptors appeared, then recover it via trapeze after combat. The Goblin was the smallest jet fighter ever built, just 15 feet long, with folding wings spanning 21 feet. No landing gear, just an emergency steel skid. If the trapeze recovery failed, pilots had one option: belly landing on concrete and hoping for the best. Recovery was nearly impossible. Both aircraft bounced through turbulence independently. Hooking a trapeze while closing at different speeds, in different air currents, required superhuman precision. Only one pilot, test pilot Ed Schoch, ever flew the Goblin. Of 7 total flights, only 3 ended in successful hookups. The other 4 ended in emergency belly landings. Schoch survived everyone, but the aircraft's limitations were obvious. The Air Force cancelled the program in October 1949, when aerial refueling offered a better solution. McDonnell built only 2 Goblins. Both survive in museums. It wasn't a bad idea, it was an unflyable execution. If any of these aircraft stood out to you, I've linked detailed replicas and reference materials in the description, completely optional for anyone who wants to explore further. These were the most hated planes to fly. The pilots who survived them earned every word of their complaints.